Welcome to story time.
Hello.
Because this is kind of a Q&A, but we're just going to do that thing where we talk about one subject because we'll waffle on for a fair amount of time.
I will. I really will.
So, as you will have seen from the title, it is why are we vegan? Or more precisely, how on earth did this all come about?
Yep.
So, it started with me. It's my fault.
No, it's not. We don't play the blame game in this house.
It's not what you said in the first take of this.
Very true. I was then trying to walk it back and go,
backpedal, 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 backpedal.
fault is the wrong word to use.
Mm-hmm.
If we hadn't been interrupted, or if I hadn't derailed the whole thing, I would have said that this is up there in the top 5 things that have happened to me. Year 1.
Good things or bad things?
Good
or just
things.
5 things that have ever happened to you?
Top 5 things that have happened to me, as in, if it was bad things, it would have been, these are the 5 worst things, like, ever. Top 5 things implies the best things. Meeting you. Getting married. Going vegan. Brody. Gigi.
Aww. Who's disappeared.
Disappeared.
But anyway, right,
That's
let's
why
get
it's last.
started because we're going to waffle, as we already started.
Sorry.
So this kind of started with a friend of yours that I met when I first came to Scotland. So this is the Gary that was mentioned in one of our other videos where we talk about how we met. He was the one with the little pot of chips.
Well, we had nachos.
That Gary.
Yeah.
So he was kind of vegetarian who ate a steak every now and then.
Yeah.
But we'll digress. And then went vegan.
Yeah.
So he was one of these vegans. I'm going to be careful where I talk about this. He was one of those vegans who would constantly poke and prod you about it. And it's like, that's fine. And I totally get it. Because if it hadn't been for that, then I probably wouldn't have gone, oh, for God's sake, I'm just to shut you up, I'm going to do this. But he'd be like, oh, why don't you? Why don't you? Why don't you? Because I'd always been a picky meat eater. I don't eat chicken and fish. I didn't like any red meat or anything like that. I'd occasionally eat pork. And my mum was one of those people who tries to force feed you it, and it just didn't work. It doesn't help that she's a terrible cook as well, so it was just like, no. She once force fed me liver, and then was surprised when I spent the rest of the night spewing my load.
That kind of sums up your mum in a nutshell.
It does sum up my mum in a nutshell, but also it kind of like shows I was never a biggie. I was very, very picky meat eater. But he'd always be poking and prodding me, and I'd be like, fine, okay. Typical, but I couldn't give up cheese, because cheese was totally my thing. I loved cheese.
Yep.
But I was like, okay, fine. I'll give it a go. Now, this was the year we got married.
Yep.
So this sounds like total bragging now, which it's not. There is a reason behind this, okay? Stay with me. We went to Le Gavroche after we got married.
Yep.
And you called 90 odd times. They called 30 odd times, and we both got through within the same kind of 2 minutes.
You got through before me.
No, you got... Oh yeah, I did.
You
I
did.
literally got through just before you. But we went to Le Gavroche, which is Michel Roux's gaff. And then we went to
The waterside.
the waterside. Previous to this, at the beginning of the year, we went to London to go to Roux at the Landau.
Yep.
But they had electrical problems, so we ended up at Roux at Parliament Square.
Yep.
So we have done 3 of the big Roux Michelin star restaurants in the space of 6 months.
Yep.
Now, we went to Le Gavroche, and I can't remember what the whole menu was, and I will not go get it. But it was a cheese souffle cooked on double cream. So that kind of gives you a starting point as to how this meal was and how rich it was. And by the end of this meal, because, this was an expensive meal, a very expensive meal, I'm not going to leave a single drop of anything.
Yep.
I could barely walk.
Yeah.
It was that we are going to have to slow down, because if I walk anywhere near a normal pace, I'm going to vomit because I've eaten far too much.
Yep.
And then we went to the Waterside. Yay! The Waterside was less like that.
Yeah.
Was there a cheese trolley?
There was if you paid extra, but it was.
When we went to the
It looked a bit disappointing.
When we went to the Rue at Parliament Square, they had a literal cheese trolley that was bigger than our dining room table, filled with cheese. I was just like, it's amazing. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, other than you. So beautiful. But again, we had the duck, and it was rich, and it was filled with butter and cream and everything, and I was just... And it was in a place where you have to travel to get to it. It's in the same place as... The Fat Duck. So we had to get an aeroplane. Well, let's start from the beginning. A bus, a flight, a train, and then we had to walk for a good 40 minutes to get to this place in the middle of nowhere. So it wasn't a turn up for dinner and leave. We had to stay overnight as well. So we stayed overnight and we had breakfast the next morning, which was fresh pastries and tea and coffee and all these beautiful things. And it was just like, I'm done. I can't. I couldn't even eat all of the breakfast. I had some of the fruit, but I was just like, I just can't do this anymore. And the next morning, we went off to Barcelona. As you know. This was we've just got married. We are going to
milk this.
Literally milk this for all it is worth. We're going to do as much as we can.
Yeah.
So we
Three
went...
honeymoons.
Yes. 3 honeymoons. We went to Barcelona.
Yep.
Now, we weren't entirely vegan in Barcelona.
Yep.
But we did do a lot of it. We found vegan Spanish omelette. There was the vegan burger places that we went to. 95%... the cat
Cafe.
pub that had cat-themed burgers. We were 95% vegan on that trip. But idiot here decided, no, I'm not quite ready. Well, this was my turning point. I'm going to have one big blowout, and then when we go home, that's it. I'm going to be 100% vegan from this point forward. And it was cheese again, because I loved cheese so much. We went to the local supermarket. I brought a block of Mochigo, and I sat and ate the whole lot, and I have never felt so ill in my life. If that was not a sign or, karma for every time I turn around to Gary and gone, but cheese. Yeah. So we had Barcelona, which was 95% vegan, and then we came home, and that was it for me. I was like, right, I am doing this. I'm going to do this. This was in September.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this till the end of the year. And then at the end of the year, maybe I'll start introducing a few vegetarian bits, because again, I'm not huge on meat. But I'll probably start reintroducing things because I'll have missed cheese by then.
Yeah.
And that's where you come into this story.
Yep. Because we came back and I was still going back to having being an omnivore, but an omnivore-ish, because it was things like I was never. No, you've got to make me something with...
Yeah, well, you've been cutting down quite a lot, because when I met you, you had...
a committed carnivore, I think is...
You had a famed breakfast.
Yeah.
How many types of meat did it have on it? Because I can't remember. Something like 10 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a full Scottish, and everything was fried, everything had meat or meat.
There was 2 items which didn't have meat.
Potato scones.
Potato scones and a bread roll.
Yeah.
Everything else was meat, and this was a famed thing. It came on one of those big harvester style roast rack of rib type plates. I remember having it, or you making a lighter version for me and just being like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting aside, I actually made a vegan one.
You did, but you were kind of like, oh, I'll make a vegan version. Yay. But meat one. You were a steak man.
Yeah. Very much so.
But you kind of cut down a bit because of I didn't really like meat too much. So while you did still eat it, it was a smaller portion of meat with a lot more veg.
Yeah, but also when
you hated things like tofu.
Yeah.
I used to sneak tofu and olives.
Yeah.
And beetroot. I used to sneak things in your food.
Beetroot wasn't a sneak. Beetroot wasn't a sneak because I had just forgotten how much
You
I
can't
like
really sneak beetroot into food, can you? But
Not really.
I used to sneak things into your food. And like, oh, did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that? Huh? 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 That had tofu in it. But anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
So
the thing is that I would still have sort of, you know, an omnivore diet. Sort of if I went to grab something to eat with friends or something like that.
yeah, you go for the meat option.
Yeah. But at home, I was becoming I was effectively vegan because I wasn't going to insist that you made something just for me.
But there was a turning point as well for you.
Yeah.
Which made a huge difference.
And that was Michael Mosley, the doctor. Funnily enough, trust me, I'm a doctor. Crazy bugger who does things like to prove the effects of shock, strips down to his underwear and jumps in a freezing cold lake. And you're just like, what?
We both really like Michael Mosley because he is very informative and he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
yeah.
There was a talk at the Royal College of Surgeons with the snappy title of How to Avoid Cancer. Now, we didn't go because of that, we went because of him giving the talk.
Yeah.
And none of the information that he was giving was anything particularly earth-shattering or new. But because this is effectively a medical presentation, he's not saying, well, a Western diet causes this, and just leaving it at that. It's here are the studies which show this, and here are the studies which are backed up, and here's the peer review for this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
And it was basically just presenting everything as a very cohesive whole of this is why a Western diet is so bad for you. And
I think you may have even referenced the China study as well.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean everything got referenced.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, this was the thing which I always think was really handy because he gave you your sort of your bullet takeaway version, which he said. So in summation, he said if you want to reduce your risk of cancer, he says have a proper Mediterranean diet. Now I'm not talking about just adding olive oil to everything, so a genuine Mediterranean. He said, or if you want it easier still, cut out meat.
Because that was the other thing. He was diagnosed as diabetic.
Yeah.
Because he covered this as well.
Yeah.
And he had said that he had reversed his diabetes through effectively a vegetarian vegan diet.
Yeah.
So there was kind of living proof right there
Yeah.
of what had happened. So that was the turning point for you for not quite going vegan, but being like, right, that's it, I am cutting out meat.
Yeah.
I'm done with meat. Which is fair enough, because we didn't have meat in the freezer by that point, because this would have been
2-3 months.
October-ish.
Yeah. So a couple of months, 6-8 weeks.
Yeah, so everything in the fridge was vegetarian. It might have been something like corn, because we always used to have corn anyway, which I wasn't eating because it had egg in it.
Yeah.
But I was feeding to you to not waste it.
Yeah.
So you decided, right, vegetarian is for you.
Yeah.
Now, in the meantime of all this was something that kind of massively changed things for me. I don't know how much it did for you, but for me it was like a huge, right, that's it, end of, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that was a cat. Sorry, I'm going to get upset. That was our cat Brody dying. And we don't know what happened. Thank you. But she died in my arms very suddenly. It was middle of the night job. You've got a picture of her.
I've got the picture of
Our
her.
picture of Brody. Well, I'll put it in the middle. And she just all of a sudden in the space of like a couple of hours went from being not right but to dead in my arms. And seeing just how scared she was, and she was kind of clinging on to me because like she was my cat as well as yours, but it had been just the two of us for a very, very long time, and we had this connection. There's something just very special about this cat to me.
Yep.
And just seeing the distress and the upset and how terrified she was, it just made that sudden connection of, hang on, if I can't stand seeing her going through this, how on earth can I go back to causing upset and pain and all of this for an animal, for the cause of food? That makes no sense at all, and I cannot possibly ever justify eating milk, cheese, whatever, purely for my pleasure at the upset and pain and suffering of another animal. So at that point, I went from being, yeah, I'll go back to eating cheese at the end of the year, to I can't do this.
You're done.
Because of her. So, yeah. The short version is it all boils down to a little cat. And that is why I can't do it anymore.
Have another little.
A slightly bigger cat. Hi!
You've joined us.
Perfect timing. So that happened
Your mum needs a
in
hug. Just you stay.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the end of it for me. So that's the end of my story.
Oh no, yours. The thing is that.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, that was my turning point of, I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't do this. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
That was my moment of enlightenment, of like, just click, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And I guess for me.
Fluffing you good?
What are those? That's how it's a beard. Got things stuck in it. Probably from him, because he's got fluff in his floof.
I know, you've been diving under the sofa. Anyway, sorry.
No.
You continue with your part of the story.
You hug Gigi. Yeah, so for me, obviously, what happened with Brody really affected me as well. And it was, for me, it was kind of the, yeah, I'm really going to have to look at veganism. Sort of, you know, that, because I've found that I've not really missed meat. I thought I would, but I didn't. It was.
I still think this is all an elaborate joke on your side. From the steak and everything you used to eat, I'm like, one day you're going to wake up and be like, ha ha ha, it was all a joke.
Yeah, so, Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. You know what it's like, after a while your face just won't stop leaking. But please continue. Honestly, I'm fine.
I want to make sure you're okay.
Thank you though, I'm fine.
Quite alright. Yeah, so obviously for me, what happened with Brody and your reaction to that influenced mine, sort of me and my decisions. But sort of initially sort of just continued as was. It was very much a, I'm cutting back on my dairy.
Yeah, you were like cutting way back on things because you were like looking at stuff for me and
this is one of the things that I think really helped me, because I was getting into the habit of, we were going shopping and going, you can have this. And it was, we still watched TV at the time, it was a documentary on the Beeb called The Chicken People.
oh god.
And it was the thing which had, I think that this was almost my sort of...
Yeah, this I'd say this was definitely your point of, this ain't right.
Because whenever, and I speak as someone who's very much blinkers on, no. Whenever you see the footage of what it's like in the intensive farming, I think is the battery farming.
Yeah.
It's always hidden camera footage, and it's almost always in America. And you always have this disconnect of, but that's there.
Yeah.
We're not like this here. The thing which was really weird was that this is Moy Park, which is in Northern Ireland. Now they provide something like 3/4 of Britain's chicken and eggs. and they welcomed the camera crews with open arms.
Yeah, they were proud of what they were showing.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
And they're saying, oh yeah, this is the Rolls Royce. It's this huge, effectively warehouse. And it's, yes, none of the chickens are in cages. It's all big open, but it's not. They're all enclosed in this. And when they first go in as tiny wee chicks, there's loads and loads of space. But then they grow, and the guys are when they're walking through, they're literally kicking the birds out of the way.
There was also one other phrase that stuck with me from that whole show. They were talking about like the breeding chickens, and there was this poor little chicken who had all of its feathers pulled out, and it had like this pink, sore, raw back. And the guy was like, "Oh, there you go. That means the cockerel's been doing his job." You're like, that poor fucking chicken. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, and it was.
And it was the proudness of like, "Oh, he was sick. What the hell?"
One of the guys was also that when they're so you can tell when they're being a bit leery, and he said, and that if you fall over, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so
And
that's because you're treating him so badly. Oh my god, was just the whole thing was just awful.
Yeah, and it was also weird throwaway things like them saying, these are our organic chickens, and they're organic because they get organic feed.
Yeah,
and it is just for me that was also a crystallization of, oh god, they really is they are staying strictly within the letter of the law. It's that because they've had organic feed, they are organic chickens.
Yeah.
They are very much playing on your whole, organic, it's free reign. No, it's still intensively farmed. And like I say, it was that none of this was secret footage. This was in the bright light of day. This was them welcoming them with open arms. Yeah. The only time that they ever got vaguely squeamish was when they actually talked about when the chickens are born and that they've been sorted, and they just sort of skated over. Yes, and then the male chickens are destroyed.
Yeah.
It
was a very quick. Yeah. So anyway, onto this.
That was the only time that they ever sort of got vaguely anxious or sort of. Ugh. And for me, that was it for me with eggs. It was just that I cannot eat eggs again, having seen this. And this would be in November.
Yeah, this would be coming up to Christmas.
Yeah. And not long thereafter, it was that's eggs. The dairy industry does not have a fantastic reputation to begin with.
No.
I'm going to have to cut out milk and cheese because no. Now, in February of the following year, we were going to go to Paris. And I was like...
The land of cheese and baguettes.
Exactly.
And that's what we used to do. We used to go to Paris and eat lots of cheese and baguettes.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It would be that. And it was that I can't go to Paris and not subside entirely on cheese and baguettes. Not. That will be my blowout.
That'll be your Machigo vlog.
Pretty much. And well, that'll be me. But it came to Christmas, and because obviously I'm not going to say to Ivy, right, we're making 2 Christmases, a vegan one and a vegetarian one. Is that we're making one.
Yeah.
And it was roast. We got some seitan.
I can't even remember. Oh, we had Sagaya.
Yeah.
We had a Sagaya roast.
Yeah.
When they were like a little wee company, and I went and met them outside a burger to get my order.
As you do.
I remember that. I remember meeting Hilary and Alberto outside of Burger at Haymarket because I was going to go get it from a market. This is when they were like tiny.
Oh, weird. But
in a little paper bag, kind of like, here's your Christmas roast.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, we had the Sagaya roast.
We had that with roast vegetables and beetroot.
Yep.
And all the things, and it was lovely. And post blowout, I'm collapsed on the sofa, stuffing my face with chocolate because it's Christmas.
Matchsticks. Mint
Yep.
matchsticks.
Yep. Matchsticks, matchmakers, whatever. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
those sticky things.
Those things. Anyway, so I look at that, and I look on the back of it, and I'm just sort of go, this has got milk in it. So, if I hadn't had this, I'd have had a vegan Christmas. And it was the realisation of, well, hang on. If I can go through Christmas, which is one of the days when you're gonna have your milk, your cream, your
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. If
Yeah.
I can go through that without having anything bar half a bloody box of matchmakers.
A whole box after the like realisation of, I'll just finish these and we're out the way.
I was about to say I was going to gloss over. I was like, no, I was going to mention it. And the other thing was that a couple of days earlier, we'd had Christmas with my folks, and they had a huge cheese board, and I'd only had a small bit of it because it was that I'm not really, and it was those sort of things.
Not
It was,
feeling it, yeah.
it was the well, wait, why am I waiting until February? And so yeah, just after Christmas,
We
almost
got rid
2
of the
years.
last things that were in the cupboard, and that was it.
Yeah. And since then, the only time that we've ever had anything that's not been vegan is when someone's screwed up.
Yeah.
And we've been given something with that, and it's been that.
Wait a second.
Excuse me.
Nope.
But
But yeah, like that was when we both consciously were like, oh, this is it. I am not going to purposefully or seek out any non-vegan food.
yeah,
Everyone has slip-ups because of, you know, accidents of what people give you. But on the whole,
there's never
that's
been.
led us to just going to totally vegan places or places that we can trust because we don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
And that is it. That's that is story time. I don't know how long we've been waffling on by this point, but
Yeah.
that's ultimately it. That is how we ended up being vegan and why. And since then, things have changed. So when we first went vegan, there was lots of Satan and fake meat, and then we kind of went through the junk food phase, and now we're on kind of I'm just happy with vegetables.
Yeah.
I like a vegetable. Every now and then, I do like a hot dog.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I like the shape, but I quite like a hot dog with guacamole from the Altus.
Right.
But on the whole, yeah, we're mostly just happy with vegetables now.
And tofu.
And tofu. You've gone from hating tofu to loving tofu. Yeah.
That's why you're convinced that this is all an elaborate.
I know,
ruse.
right? I had to go out and buy tofu, especially for you when you were doing the kitchen as a thank you. And it's like, tofu? You hated tofu.
I am now going
Okay.
to the supermarket to get you tofu.
This makes no sense. Elaborate ruse!
What?
But yeah. We will stop our waffling now.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. there's
Yeah.
no one
So
to-
farewell.
So yeah, if you have any questions or if there's anything else you want us to waffle on about, let us know!
Yep.
And don't forget to subscribe because... Yep,
Patreon.
and Patreon and all of that fun stuff. And we will see you
Next time.
another time. Bye.
Bye.